Hello, hello, hello. Good to see you. You want some fairy dust? Okay. You get some fairy dust, and I get fairy dust, and Amelie gets fairy dust. Oh, here she comes. She wants some close-up fairy dust. You want to say hello? There you go, little sweet girl. Okay, so here I am, Elizabeth, giving her testimony, giving her experience, strength, and hope from her eating disorder recovery journey. So last we left off, I'm in treatment, and I told you of one of the experiential exercises that they took us through when we did group work. I'm going to tell you about two different experiences that I had that were assignments specifically for me. Okay, so I don't know how they found out that I was a rock, I was an island. Like, I don't fucking need anyone, and I don't need anybody's help. I've got this, no problem, leave me alone. Like, but how can I help you? How can I help you? Perennial fawn, always wanting to be of help, actually being of help, but never feeling comfortable receiving it from anybody. Barely receiving help from the therapist. You know, just always, hold on, here it is. Always batting away the help, the compliments, the good things, the even the reflections of me doing some hard therapy work. Boop, boop, boop. Nope, don't need any bit. Boop, 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 boop. And so then came the day. Where I think it just like came out, like, focus the lights on me, excuse me, the spotlight's on me, my turn to talk about my shit. And so the therapist dug in. She dug in her heels about me not getting help from people. And that's a classic, FYI, this is a classic CPTSD thing, classic addiction thing, which again, the more that I realize this, it's like addiction is a result of childhood trauma, and so is eating disorders an addiction, and codependency. That's how else did we get that way? Those things were a response to something, and the response was to childhood trauma. So anyway, so it's a classic thing. It's like addicts don't need help. Anybody who has childhood trauma, they don't need help, and think about why. Because we had to rely on ourselves, and it was dangerous to need help, and it was dangerous to be needy, and it was dangerous to, if I need help, that means I have a self, that means think I'm worthy of that help. Ultimately, I don't feel worthy of help. And also, sometimes people gave us help, but there were strings attached. And so we would get our hands slapped, or we would get hoodwinked, or we'd get betrayed because we asked for help and then we got it, and it wasn't trustworthy help. So help wasn't trustworthy. So I had become being really close, like, oh, you fucking bond. Okay, so I was in plays in high school, and there's some magic that happens with a cast. They're just like, get so close, because you're doing something. There's so much adrenaline pumping, so much anxiety and fear around it. And so you bond, you fucking bond, and then you go out there, on the stage, and you're just like, you just have each other. And so there's a closeness, a bond that you form with these people. The same thing happens in treatment. Like, you're just fucking being so vulnerable, telling your shit, calling each other out on each other's shit, because we can see it. Okay, so like, so close, so bonded. So I basically love everybody. Of course, there are people that got on your nerves, got on my nerves. I'm sure I got on people's nerves for fucking sure. But you're just so bonded. Okay, so what I'm trying to say, that's another way of saying I did feel safe with these people, you know. So anyway, so I was, you know, probably doing some rant about like, I don't need help, I'm good, I've done it all myself anyway, fuck that, fuck that, fuck that. And then that's when I got the assignment. That I was not allowed to do anything for myself for the rest of the day. So this is like fucking 10 a.m. and you know I'm a Hermione bitch. You know I'm in there with my books, like whatever, like my big book or whatever. You know, I have my book, you know, I have my notebook because you know a bitch is taking notes. So I had all my shit with me. I had a purse. And so I wasn't allowed to do anything for the rest of the day. So I was like, okay, you know, I like, you know, all right, I'll do your assignment. And then I think I'm gonna just tell you this one, and then we'll do we'll do the other one. The next video will be another story. It's worth the wait, I promise. Okay, so I'm like, okay, you know, kind of tongue in cheek, like, okay, I'll do your shit, but also like, I'm not gonna, you know, I can't be that bad. I'll ask for help for anything that I need. So then I got up from that group meeting. So like again, it's like 10 a.m. And the therapist says, oh, no, Elizabeth. No. You are gonna ask for help for everything. You're not gonna be carrying your books today. You're not gonna be carrying your purse today. You're not gonna be getting your food today. You're not gonna be everything you do, I want you to ask for help. Well, the tears start streaming down and I'm fucking horrified. And so I had to ask these people that, again, I trusted and cared about and, you know, laughed with or whatever. I'm like, will someone carry my books? Will someone carry my purse? Like, I hated every minute of it. And then we get to the elevator and I'm like, and I'm like, I'm sorry you have to do that. Like, again, I'm the person who will apologize if you step on my toe. I'm so sorry I had my foot under your foot. Like, I'm so sorry for that. Like, I'm sorry for everything. I never want to be a fucking burden, of course. And so it's just an uncomfortable feeling, but then, of course, obviously I'm going to use humor throughout the day. And then we get to the elevator. I'm like, okay, like I was in a little bit of better spirits. And then, in group therapy, there's nothing better than the focus being on someone else. Oh, they love it. I love it. Like, oh, that person, like when my friend, I think I told you, like my friend got in trouble for, he's a fawn, and like he got in trouble for always handing the tissue. Like anybody like, oh, a little tear, he's like, here's a tissue. So he got on tissue restriction. And we were all like, oh, no. Oh, I know you're uncomfortable over there because I'm crying or someone's crying. I know, like we like whatever, give each other shit for it. So they were loving it. Like they loved it. And they were going to enforce it, which is the worst part because these are people I'm going to actually be with and go to all the little different things throughout the day in treatment. So I was like there till like 5:30 p.m. And so, no, Elizabeth, you have to ask, one of them, like, you have to ask for one of us to push the elevator button. Oh, it was brutal. It was so hard. It cracked something in me, though. It did crack. It didn't make me, like, asking for help, but it did crack something open because I got to have the experience of asking and then receiving and it being safe. Thank God it was just one day. If they had done that to me for a few days, more would have cracked open, but maybe they knew like my psyche could not handle that shit right then without my drug of choice. So, but I had to ask someone to carry my tray in the cafeteria. I had to ask somebody to throw my plates, you know, to the dishwasher in the cafeteria. It was in a hospital. It was brutal. It was brutal, brutal, brutal. But again, something did crack in me. Not my desire to do it, even not a willingness to do it, but I learned something, that it could happen, you know? I learned that it could be true, that you could depend on help from somebody else. Listen, to this day, it's still fucking uncomfortable. I don't want to ask for help. I'd rather do it myself. I'd rather look it up myself. I'd rather find it out by myself than to be vulnerable. But it takes practice. So that's why on the Bitchifesto, advanced bitches ask for help. Like, it's an advanced skill. So I learned that in treatment, like that's a common thing for addicts, but it's actually, so, you know, part of my story is that I got better from all this shit, recovery and eating disorder and all that. I got so much better, and through therapy, healing a bunch of shit. And then I'm out in the world with normies, and I'm like, oh, they don't ask for help either. They don't like asking for help either. And I'm like, oh, no, that's not allowed. You know, like, no. We need to ask more of ourselves than that. It is healthy to have connections. Fawns suck at receiving. We suck at receiving. Addicts, we're not good with it. It is very uncomfortable. A compliment, help, like, you know, like we can't, whatever, support. I mean, it's just so uncomfortable for us. And yet we do it anyway. And yet that's our calling. And yet that's part of what we're here to do. It's part of being a whole person, is reciprocity in relationships. I help you and you help me. Because it's healthy and real. It's real. It's not false. And you can see, like just think about if reciprocity was involved in your relationships, how fewer resentments you would have. And so we must work. Fawns, recovering addicts, we must, everyone, women, men, why not? Ask and receive help. We must put that as part of our practice. You know, people have spiritual practice, they have meditation practice. Advanced bitches have an asking for help practice, just for practice. And beauty comes from it. Beauty comes from it. And I hope I have modeled it, and I'm about to model it even more, because you're the first one to know. I'm writing a book right now. It's about grief. It's about how to survive the first 3 months of grief. And it's going to be ready to buy on October 20th. Holy shit. Like, 2020. It's called The Irreverent Grief Guide to the First 3 Months After the Loss. And so I'm going to ask you for help, to help me maybe buy it or tell somebody. See, it's already started. Like, buy it or tell someone or support me or cheerlead me or whatever. Like, I'm going to be asking for help. And so I do it as I'm going to walk my walk. And so this is what we're going to do. And it's going to be uncomfortable, and we do it anyway. And I have yet to got to the point where I receive help and no reciprocation in that moment, because reciprocation isn't like tit for tat. It's like, you know, it's a ongoing flow of a relationship. And so, like, if somebody does something nice for me out of the blue, it's not my job. It's fawning to do it right back, to pause and wait for an opportunity or inner guidance to, you know, bestow a gift on the other person. That's healthy, you know, that's it. So the point is, it never gets comfortable. It's always a little bit of work, but actually every time we do it, we get more resilience and we get stronger with it. And again, the whole point of this isn't like to just ask for help. Like, I'm a bitch that asks for help. Like, fine. It's to become a whole person and to become as healthy and as whole as we can possibly be in this lifetime. And that is the biggest service that we can do for the people that we love. Talk about a gift. Like, that's the real deal, is that you live this shit and that you are a walking, talking example of it. So advanced bitches ask for help. And you know how I suffered. So when you do it and it's hard, you just remember, okay, Elizabeth had to do it all fucking day. I just have to do it one time. I hope that's helpful. I love you. Bye.